phone is turned down so that we don't have feedback in our live stream, which YouTube is telling us we're live to the world.
Howdy, howdy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Glad you are here. It's Wednesday. It's 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Probably a different time if you're from a different time zone, but
yeah,
you know what time it is. Glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here. We're back. We're back together again. Last week at this time, I believe you were sleeping.
I was out cold.
Out cold.
I even missed the live stream.
You
I felt like I really
you didn't even,
missed out. Yeah,
you did miss out because we had probably one of the most dynamic times we've ever had on a live stream before, and it was just me, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone.
That's not true. It was the whole vibe was completely off with you not being there. So
what can I say?
We're glad you're back. Everybody is feeling better. We've gotten over the ick in the family, which is is a good people ick. We got over people ick in the family, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So we just dumped salt on ourselves and turned up the temperature and used. I just realized, right? What is that you've got to drink there?
You're not gonna like it. It's bubbly.
Let me just taste because I just realized I forgot. Is Eli over there?
Yeah.
No, is he over there?
He is.
Oh, that's horrible. That's really horrible. Hold on, I don't mean to scream at your face. Hey, Eli?
Eli?
Never mind.
He's got his...
He must have his headphones on.
He's like making
I'm just going to have to let me see that other drink over there. Is there any water in there?
No.
All right. Anyway.
Can we go get you some?
No, it's fine. He'll eventually walk out of his room over there, and then we'll catch his eye. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. We've got some things going on tonight that we haven't done before. And so we're doing our very first ever giveaway tonight. Now, it's not like a huge $1 million thing. So please, it's just we're starting small here. Yeah. But one of the things that we wanted to do for 2022, and this is something you and I talked about a lot, and it's something that you were really wanting to do, and I was too, and that is... this channel is growing because of a lot of what you all do, and that is, when you share things on Facebook or when you share things on your social media or you tell people about us, that's one of the ways that we often grow best. And so it's pretty cool. We wanted to make sure that we do more to give back, and so we're going to be doing that. And we've been working with our sponsors, our channel sponsors, Flip Aquatics, Fritz Aquatics. One of the things that we discussed as we went into 2022 is how can we make our relationships benefit the viewers of Primetime Aquatics more, right? Obviously, when we have channel sponsors, they help in various facets, whether that's relieving some of the pressure and feeding all these fish, or, it costs a lot of money to run a fish room, as you might imagine. Some of you definitely know this, but we want to make sure that we're also... giving back to our viewers, because without you, there's no reason for this, that's for sure. So later on, in a little while, we're going to be doing our first ever little tiny giveaway, and we're probably going to do this a couple times a month. And we've got some stuff already kind of set to the side, that we got some stuff delivered. So hopefully it'll just be a nice little thing. It's not going to be anything crazy. We're not giving away big giant fish tanks, or at least I don't have any large canister filters or anything like that I know of yet. But anyway, so that's kind of somewhere. We got to start somewhere. So we're gonna give this a trial run today and see how it goes a little bit later on, like I said. But thank you for being here. So a couple things real fast. I already saw we have a new member, Mark. Welcome to being a Primetime partner, Primate, Primetimer. Glad you're here. Hope you enjoy the experience. I'll have a video out tomorrow. So by the way, before I forget, schedule for this week, things that have happened, in case you were, I've been really zoned out. We did on Monday the yellow fish video.
That was fun.
That was fun. So we continued in our basically picking fish that are different colors videos. We've done orange, we've done green and white, and then we added yellow. And yes, we're putting off. This is not, if you're thinking, well, what about the common colors like blue and red? And we've put those off a little bit because there's so many cool options, and I want to make sure that we kind of narrow these options down to what we think are some of the coolest fish. But when you've got a million options to pick from, sometimes it's a little harder to organize those videos. So we did yellow on Monday. today, I thought your video today was really cool.
I liked it too because they're just really cool stuff.
And what did you do today?
Botanicals.
Yeah. And
little tour of really cool. I was gifted some really cool botanicals, some of which I've never seen. So I gave you just a little tour of different kinds.
Yeah. And what I thought was so cool is I didn't know most of these. I'm not a big, I know catappa leaves. I know cholla wood. I know the little
cones.
I know the things. They're like shaped like a football, and they've got like a stemmy guy coming out, and you just chuck them in the tank, and it turns the water brown. Yeah, alder cones. I know those, but beyond that, when you did that unboxing, I'm like, wow, I didn't know you could put all this stuff into a fish tank. That's pretty cool. So if you haven't seen that on the Small Scape, Joanna's channel, you could check that out and get a lot more information on all kinds of stuff you can throw in your tank, apparently.
Yeah.
Big variety there. And you're going to be, the idea is introduce them, and then you're going to be using them in some of your future scapes.
Heck yeah, I am.
Speaking of scapes, and y'all will probably appreciate this, the tank right behind Joanna's head, this one over here. Do you know what I saw in there today? All right, so first of all, what's in there are what? What fish do you have in there? Do you know?
Behind my head?
Yeah.
I got the rice fish.
The rice fish, yeah. So we've got the Medaka rice fish. There's like, I don't know, 5 or 7 or 8 or 9. I don't remember how many are in there, but there's a few in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw the tiniest little babies in there. Yeah, I was going to tell you, but I forgot before the live stream started.
I'm trying not to be rude and go like just hang out over there right now.
But there's a little complicating factor. Because also in that tank, I saw a big giant, now keep in mind this is all relative, giant female golden least killifish in there who clearly looked like she was with child. So
really? She jumped tanks?
I'm pretty sure because they're in this tank right here.
Oh,
and
no.
It was a big female. I mean, big is like the fish max out at like 3/4 of an inch or so.
Yeah.
She had a big round belly, and she had jumped from this tank right here into this one over here. And the fry are extremely small, right? As you might expect, you've got the 7th smallest fish in the world, which is Heterandra formosa, and then you've got these Medaka rice fish, which aren't a whole lot bigger. And I'm looking at these little bitty tiny fry picking off the algae on the sides of the glass in this tank. We leave it there for that purpose. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't really know what they are, but if I was a betting man, I would say that they are probably the Florida least killifish in there. Probably. So now we've got a mix going on in there. And I know something else. We know something else, that the rice fish apparently don't want to eat little minuscule little fry.
Well, and she'll be giving birth for quite some time then.
Yeah, or maybe they do, and they're just like, we're so full right now. We've ate a lot of babies lately. This wonderful fish came in here and just started popping out fish food. I mean, it was great.
Oh, no.
No, I don't think that's happening. But anyway, so I don't know why I thought about that. But yeah, that's going on. So that's something that's going on in the YouTube studio right there.
Yeah.
The other thing, so today is Wednesday. I don't know what's going on with me. I just asked you 3 minutes ago, right before the live stream, what day is it today? She's like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, looking for my iPad. She's like, why? I'm like, because I want it for the live stream. She's like, what day do we live stream?
Wednesdays.
I figured it out.
So tomorrow's Thursday.
Tomorrow is Thursday, and tomorrow is going to be members only video, so we'll go down in the fish room. Now, what are you doing? Because with your other, she's got now 2 channels with the Container Joy thing with those head planter things. What is that coming out tomorrow?
Hey.
Well, your whole
you didn't hear that.
No, I mean the whole video is about planters.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyways.
Did I make a mistake here?
Just zip it. Okay, so yes, my other channel, remember Small Scape, I kind of split it in 2 and did the land in Container Joy and then the water things in the Small Scape, for those of you who don't know that. All right, so Container Joy, yes, I am putting out a video tomorrow, and just so you know, for anybody, this was a very, very, very requested video. Once I had said, yeah, I think I might do this at some point, everybody wanted me to do it, and it's taken me a long time, almost a year, to come up with. I had to amass a collection of items for this video that will be coming out tomorrow. So any of you who watched the Small Scape early on when I was doing more garden type things, check out my video tomorrow. I believe it'll come out in the morning, 8 a.m. Yeah. And there you go.
And I haven't even seen it yet. So
no,
all I know is every time she's editing, she's laughing. So I don't know what to expect. And
I'm weird. I'm weird. I'm sorry.
If it's really weird, do not associate it with Prime Time Aquatics.
It has nothing to do with you. This is all me.
Yeah. So anyway, there's that. And then Friday. Friday, I've got... Normally, I don't do 2 species profiles in a row. So last week, I did the guppy one.
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
then this week, I've got another one that I'm doing. But I was so excited about it because I feel like I got some really good footage of these fish. I couldn't wait. So Friday will be a cool species profile. Then Saturday, you've got something coming out on the small scape, which will be pretty awesome. So that's what's going on. Next weekend, not this weekend, but the following one, the 23rd, will be at the GCCA swap meet. So for those of you in the Midwest area, if you want to check that out, we will have our fish that we are selling at the swap up on the website, hopefully by Monday, Tuesday at the latest, for those of you who like to pre-order fish, because that tends to work out best to make sure that you get the fish that you want. Leo, thank you so much for the super chat. Glad you both are feeling a lot better. I'm getting my Aquatop Pisces 5-gallon in this week. What you guys think of tropical plant soil or Aqua Vitro one? And best plants, still debating which Betta.
Oh, lots of choices there.
Yeah.
Let's see. There were a lot of questions in there. What do you think of tropical plant soil? Well, you're talking to somebody who really just prefers sand.
Inert sand.
Inert sand. Yeah.
You're a simple woman.
I am.
Simple tastes.
Very simple.
That's why she married me. I'm a simple man.
True. There we go.
You weren't supposed to agree that fast.
Out. You were pretty simple.
No, do you see how naturally and how quickly she agreed with that statement?
Sure.
I'm very complicated. In my own brain, I'm a complicated mess.
So which one are you, Brittany or Kevin?
I like Brittany. Yeah, how are you going to bring that one up? That's the one I always...
You always bring up quotes.
I know, yeah.
Complicated like Brittany and Kevin.
It's
I never even
complicated like
saw
Brittany
that
and
show.
Kevin. I to be clear, I think I only saw that show one time because...
That's all you would need to see.
That was basically it. That was all I needed to see. And I'm like, okay, that's enough. Anyway, what were we saying? The plant soil. What we do is mostly it's inert sand with root tabs. It's easy for us. You can do, I know you've used the
EcoComplete.
EcoComplete. Now,
I use that, but it's very light, very, very light. So if you're putting crypts, if you're putting anything into the substrate, you may have a little bit of a challenge because it's not going to want to stay in there. And other plants like your microswords won't want to stay down there at all.
And is that the same with the Fluval stratum?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, I don't use it. It's just inert sand, root tabs in there.
Yeah,
tends to work out pretty well.
Gravel.
But do what you want to do. All those the tropical plant soils are fine. They work great. Now, in terms of what was the other one? Best plants. Do you have an opinion on the best plants for a 5?
Oh, Anubias would be a natural choice, and then crypts. Any kind of crypts. Like I said, the microsword's really fun.
Now, Anubias, you want to stay a little bit smaller with the Pisces, right? You don't want to, Anubias Nano.
Well,
Nano Petite.
It grows so slow that you don't really have a problem. And most of the ones that you're going to get at your big box stores are going to be the smaller varieties too. The Nana, the Congensis, Friseri, any of those that are going to come like as a 2 plant, those will all do great. And then, of course, Anubias Nana Petite.
Yeah. And I think you had also asked the question about when we're going to do another video on the Aquatop Pisces or the 5-gallon. We've got things in the works. It's kind of a larger project. Can't really talk too much about it right now, but within the next month or two, it's moving along much faster than I thought it was going to. But there's going to be some stuff on that front coming out pretty soon. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of interactive fun. Fish Fan 20-gallon long, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Glad you're here. So very happy you're back. Healthy. I'm nervously going to try my hand at setting up my 20-gallon long with real plants.
You can do it.
You've given me the support, knowledge, and inspiration I need. Hopefully, it'll turn out at least half as nice as your aquariums. That'll turn out way better.
I think so.
That's awesome. A 20-gallon long is a fun size. For those of you who have 20-gallon longs, it's like, yeah, this is really cool. You get a lot of space with that 30-inch long tank.
Yeah.
12.5 inches wide, about 12.5 inches tall. The cool thing is when you're planting a 20-gallon long, because it's not a very tall tank, usually those 30-inch lights kick out more than enough light for even medium light plants. So that's the advantage that you have there, is because it's a more narrow or not as tall of a tank. You know, it's not like a 20-gallon high, where those 20-gallon highs, I'm just going off of memory here, but I think they're like around 20 inches tall. So they're considerably taller, and therefore the light doesn't hit the bottom as quite as easily. So that's going to be a great tank. Just have fun with it. Have fun with it. And you get yourself some root tabs for your rooted plants. If you need to at first, add in a little bit of liquid fertilizer. And then you'll just eventually learn, okay, I'm getting, one of the telltale signs if you're adding too much fertilizer to a tank is you start to get a lot of that green hair algae. Or you get a lot of just the brown algae. It's like, once you're getting a lot of that, you're like, oh, you know what? Don't really like this. Then you know, okay, I'm going to back off on my liquid fertilizers a little bit and let the fish do the work, as they say. Yeah. So, but very cool. Congratulations. It'll be exciting. Let's see here. Season, C-S-Y-N-N. Again, somewhere in the thing, just tell me how to say your name if I'm saying it right. Thank you so much for the super chat. Do I need fertilizer for my Anubias and Java ferns? If my fish stocking level is at 100%, I have a 40-gallon breeder with many small tetras. So, and you're kind of shaking your head no. First of all, the Anubias, no. Yeah. Most likely not. If you see them start to yellow, like if you see the leaves start to yellow and it's an established tank, you might have to add a little bit. I know you just kind of talked about that in your video last week with the smaller tank.
Tiny tank, yeah. But I have like minuscule stocking in there.
Yeah. The Java fern might be a little bit of a different story because sometimes they can get a little bit depleted on some of those essential minerals and stuff and metals. I would say just keep an eye on it. If your plants seem to be doing well, they're growing, they're not, leaves aren't dying back excessively, then you're probably fine. You said you got stocking at 100%, so it's probably decently stocked with tetras. Both of those plants are mostly pulling stuff out of the water column anyway, so just keep an eye on them. The Java fern might be a little bit more finicky with the not having the fertilizers, but Anubias, we've said this a lot. The tanks back here, we don't fertilize them at all, and those are extremely lightly stocked. We did put root tabs in when we first set them up, but all the stuff that you see floating is pulling out enough nutrients from the water from this small stocking that's in there. You look at our fish room, all the tanks in the background of our fish room, we add pretty much no fertilizer to any of those tanks. So that's how we roll with it. All right, let's see here. So we're just going to get right into some questions. We'll do the giveaway. I haven't forgotten. In fact, maybe you can remind me.
Okay, when?
All right. Actually, we've got a bunch of people here that can remind us as well. So how about at 8:45?
8:45?
Central Standard Time. So in about a half hour,
we're
going to we'll take a look at that giveaway and we'll talk a little bit about that. How's that sound?
You know what Berkeley Bell said?
What?
Wish y'all were coming to Aquafest, Louisiana this weekend. Me too.
Aquafest, Louisiana.
I love Louisiana.
I didn't even know about Aquafest, Louisiana.
Me neither.
I must be out of the loop.
Guess so.
Huh. Not cool. Oh, well, I hope you're there, and I hope you have fun.
Yeah, have fun. Take pictures.
All right, let's see here. Whips World. Do coolie loaches burrow? If I do a dirted tank with a sand cap, will they worm their way down into the substrate? Anybody? Bueller? Yeah, they do burrow. I have seen coolie loaches just go right down in there. I don't know if it depends on how large your sand cap is, whether they're going to actually get to the dirt, because I haven't really observed them that much. No, wow, yeah, they burrowed like 50 feet. They bounced their head off the glass, and I don't know exactly how far they're going to go, but they will absolutely find comfort in the substrate. That's why I usually like to keep those things on sand as opposed to gravel, because it's a little bit harder for them to wiggle in between the stones. What you got?
Big thank you to our moderators, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
We've got Dave from Iowa in the house,
Sweet.
And we also have Winkmaster Supreme Forever.
Yeah, I saw Wendy earlier too.
Okay, so you want to know what you said?
What?
It's funny. Yellow is the color of sunshine and enthusiasm. This is the link for the beautiful yellow invertebrates. Isn't it cute?
Nice.
That's cute. It is.
I love it.
Yellow's a happy color.
It is a happy color. It's like the sun.
It is like the sun and a smiley face.
And a smiley face. Christine says, any suggestions for controlling brown algae? Yes, there are many suggestions for controlling brown algae. Break the fish tank down and just forget about it. No, okay. Besides that, and this is not just for brown algae, it's for all algae. Usually algae is going to grow when there are a few things that it absolutely requires. So the limiting factors that limit algae are going to be light, nutrients, space. Space is generally not an issue in most aquatic environments, but lights and nutrients, those are your primary limiting factors. So there's two ways to go about it. The easier way, or the easier situation, is if you don't have any live plants. Because if you don't have any live plants, then you can deal with light a little bit more efficiently. And so let's say you were leaving your lights on for 10 or 12 hours a day. Okay, well, if you cut that down to 6 or 7 hours a day, that's going to help reduce the amount of light. So that is going to be a limiting factor for all algae. Again, not just your brown algae. The other one is the amount of nutrients that are in the water column. And so if your nitrates tend to be higher, there are other nutrients besides nitrates. We tend to focus on nitrates because that's the easiest one to measure. And typically when nitrates are high, your phosphates are going to be a little bit higher. Some of your micros in your water are going to be a little bit higher as well. So we kind of use that as a barometer. So if your nitrates are pushing well above 20 parts per million on average throughout the week, that could also be an issue. So what we're trying to do now, even in a planted tank, we might not adjust the lights as much. We might be like, okay, well, for me, I don't want to go any less than around 9 hours a day. Okay, we split those up into 2 different time frames. But we still control our nitrates, and we still like to have the nitrate concentrations to max out at the very most right around 30 parts per million. But usually we're right around 20 parts per million right before a water change. And then we change enough water to make sure the next time we do a water change, it isn't going above 20 parts per million again. So those are the 2 primary ways, at least some things that you can do from a maintenance perspective. The other thing is, okay, well then what about adding organisms that compete with the brown algae? And so if you don't have plants, things like hornwort or guppy grass or these faster growing plants can sometimes help. Then you also add in the organisms that might chow down on some algae. So when it comes to brown algae, just that kind of stuff that's kind of slimy, it's on the glass, it's on decorations, but you can scrape it off relatively easily. You've got things like snails, mystery snails, nearite snails, even like the common, more like pest snails like ram's horn snails, Malaysian trumpet snails. Now keep in mind, those last 2, when they start to grow, they can get a little out of control. But those will eat algae. Our bristlenose plecos keep all of our tanks algae free. I know a lot of people say bristlenose plecos don't eat algae. Well, they do in our fish room because we're not scraping a lot of glass, and they're the ones that are responsible for keeping the glass clean. So they will, when there's competition for food, understanding that you may still have to feed them once they take care of the brown algae issue. So what else? Bristlenose, mystery snails, nearite snails, ram's horn, Malaysian, common pond snails. Otocinclus, if you have the right water parameters, they're a little bit more finicky for us. We don't keep them because they don't do well in our water at all. But Otocinclus could potentially work as well. Yeah, so those I think are the main ones. That's kind of how we deal with that. Mm-hmm. What you got?
Okay, so I'm gonna grab a few here right in a row.
While you're doing that, can I have a drink of that nasty stuff? What is this?
It's bubbly,
but
it's with a little bit of my elderflower. It's like a syrup. It's my favorite, and he hates it.
So bad.
It's so good. All right, so Leo 209 Aquatics. So does it matter what kind of sand? Just use root tabs for the crypts? Yes. Any kind of sand. It can even be like pool filter sand. A lot of people really like that. Aquarium sand. Anything. Just sand. Yeah, it'll work just fine. And then if you're planting anything into the substrate, then you'd have to kind of fortify that with root tabs. But like Michael Phillips said earlier, what he uses is an aqua soil capped with sand. And that works out great too because it keeps that very light and fluffy aquatic soil down under there. And then, let's see, I wanted to grab a couple others. Oh, Delta Charlie said, already guessed what the giveaway is. My fish named Blaze. That's funny.
Oh my God! All right, here you go. Have fun.
Good luck.
Yeah, keep him by himself, and anything smaller than him is probably going to go missing. So for that is an interesting thing because here's a little flavor nugget for you that you haven't heard anywhere else. For those of you who are tired of molly fry, platy fry, guppy fry, any little tiny little bitty fries that you're just like, I am getting overrun. I think the Battis asamensis would be a really decent choice, because that, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Calvus cichlid, which is a Lake Tanganyika fish. It's kind of flattened and it's got this big underbite looking thing. It looks very menacing. It's a very relatively peaceful fish, but they're predatory. The Battis that you have reminds me a lot of Calvus, and I bet you if you put one of those in a tank, you would probably. Oh yeah, I'm fairly certain. Guppy fry. Now watch, they don't. It doesn't actually work. Like, I got twice as many guppy fries as I did before. Turns out he ate all the other fish that ate the guppy fry. He had a soft spot for him.
But now remember, he's much better since his name is Blaze and that killer.
Yeah, well, and he's by himself. That helps too, right?
Sure does. Oh, and I think I might have seen this question last week, and we do try to get to as many questions as possible. Amber wanted to know. She's moving an hour away.
Oh,
I run a fish
room
and have 37 fish tanks. Any advice?
Okay, hold on. So you have a fish room with 37 tanks. You're moving an hour away.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that were me, what would I do? I think I would plan, if possible, I would plan my move in probably 2 different steps. Step 1 is I move all my non-fish related stuff, hopefully in a day. So and hopefully that's possible, or at least that's one segment of it, whether it takes a day or 2 days or whatever. That stuff all goes first, probably first, except for maybe a place to sleep on the couch because I've still got all my fish. 37 tanks, I probably start moving that. That's not a day job. That's probably going to take you 30, depending on how big the tanks are, but maybe 2 or 3 days at least, right? And that's if you've got help, right? If you're all by yourself, it could be longer. But it's almost like in your mind you have to be okay with the fact that this is not getting done in a day. Don't stress about it. Take it in chunks. Okay, how many tanks can I break down today? And if I'm planning to set them up again in the next place, I can set them up. Now, an hour is really not that long, so I'm not worried at all about the fish health in that hour's time, unless you've got some fish that really stress a lot, like tinfoil barbs, silver dollars, ballast sharks, where they've got a high metabolism, high energy level. But outside of that, I'm not really worried about the fish, because you can use 5-gallon buckets, a battery-powered air pump, throw an air stone in there, or maybe you've got sponge filters that are already cycled, chuck those in there, let the battery-powered air pump power those. And then it's like, okay, well, I just want to be able to get these fish back in their new tanks inside of 5, 6, 8 hours. They'll be fine for the most part. And then how many times are you going to have to do that? So that's really what I would do. If they're smaller tanks, I would try to leave as much stuff in the tank as I could. So am I breaking down substrate and uprooting the plants and all that stuff? If it's a 10-gallon, nope. If it's a 10-gallon, I'm going to try to make sure it's level in the back seat, cover it with some saran wrap, probably leave a little bit of water in there. Try not to take any fast turns or brake too hard, and then just boom, get to my new place, fill it up with water. All your cycled media, if you're going to be using that in the next setup, which you probably will be, try to keep that stuff from drying out. Try to keep it oxygenated. So again, sponge filters are your friend. If you've got a sponge in the back of, let's say, hang-on back filters, maybe that's going in the bucket right next to the air stone. Right, that's one, it's going to keep an ammonia spike from happening, and 2, that air stone is going to provide oxygen to keep all those beneficial bacteria alive. Use as much of the decorations and the substrate as you can. If it stays moist, the bacteria will have a much higher likelihood, at least a lot of them, of surviving. And so when you reset up a tank, you're not having to deal with those ammonia and nitrite spikes. You might have to occasionally, but that's how I would handle it. Good luck. I hope it works out well. In fact, I'm very curious to hear how everything goes. Rose, thank you so much for the super chat. My super red pleco isn't eating and is clamp thin. Can I add some salt to the tank? Plecos don't do as well with salt, and so I try not to when I've got the bristlenose plecos in there. They'll do okay with it. I mean, they handle it, but I wouldn't go crazy with the salt. Clamp fins not eating. I mean, do you think there could be any chance where maybe there's some ick in the tank? That sounds to me. Often when they're doing that, sometimes there's ick in the tank. And plecos, believe it or not, are one of the first fish in a tank that usually start to show it because they're often associated with the bottom of the tank, and they just, because the ick parasite goes into the substrate, it just has a much shorter distance to travel to find a new host. And if that pleco is just chilling there at the bottom, sometimes they're the first ones to show it. So if you've added any new fish recently, even if the pleco's not new, but you've added new fish recently, just be on the lookout for that. But salt with plecos sometimes isn't the best thing. I would try to identify what's going on there if you can. Stephen, thank you very much for the super chat. Favorite cold water fish? Do you have a favorite cold water fish?
Well, can you include shrimp in that?
Sure. Oh, stuff
Don't
is
drink
like
it all.
drinking dandelions or something. It's horrible.
No, it's yummy. I don't do chamomile. Ugh, I don't do chamomile. Let's see, who else do I like? Well, I mean...
Yeah, there's a bunch back there. That's why
right?
I'm saying, do you have a favorite?
Like a favorite well, Heteroandra formosa is one of my all-time favorites. But I'm really quite addicted to the rice fish.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, who doesn't love the white cloud minnow? So do I have a favorite? No, they're all my favorite.
I do.
Really?
The tiger limia.
Really?
Because those generally can go cooler water. True. I wouldn't say cold water. Like, I'm not trying to keep them at like 50s or low 60s or something. But in terms of an unheated tank in a standard home, where it's going to be 70-ish or so, low 70s. Yeah, tiger limia are probably my favorite. I really like them. All right, what you got? You got more stuff over there?
Yeah. So, Alex is here. Secret History.
What's up, dude?
Aquarium. What's up? He wanted to know. He's already guessed it. The giveaway.
Oh, yeah?
The golden killifish and duckweed.
We're giving away some duckweed today. I hope you enjoy it. Now you, too, will be scraping duckweed out of your tank.
2 duckweeds for you.
Every single week. Telling you, man, our youngest Eli, his life's nemesis is duckweed because
always has been.
I think he's got duckweed elbow at this point, just the net and just getting rid of all that stuff every single week.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. We got BC Dolphin. Thank you so much for the super chat. Glad you're both feeling better. What's the largest number of green Cubotyraz boras for a 55-gallon with a pair of bristlenose, 10 salt and pepper cories, and 11 Harlequin ras boras? That's a cool tank.
Yeah.
Love it.
Load them up.
What's the largest number in a 55? What would I do?
A couple dozen.
I'd probably start with like 50. No
really?
Joke. And just see what it looks
amazing.
like. Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Well, wait, and yet, what do you got, a 14-gallon bow front? How many have in there?
Yeah.
10?
A dozen, 10 or 12.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I go 50 all day. Those fish do not get very big,
no,
and they are
beautiful.
Awesome fish. I mean, you will definitely see them. Don't get me wrong. They're small, but you are going to notice them from across the room. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't hesitate to throw 50 in there. And it would, and then you could go from there and be like, okay, well, 50, yeah, it's pretty good. I might want to up it a little bit later, or yeah, I'm pretty happy with 50, and I might want to go with something else. When I got 55 gallon is a big tank for those small fish. That's what's so cool about it. You've done something that's pretty awesome in that you've got some options. You're like, all right, I got my bristlenose. So the bristlenose are going to leave other fish alone. You got your salt and pepper cories chilling at the bottom in a big group, which is probably really looking good. 11 Harlequin ras boras, that's get that nice color as well. 50 is what I would do, but you can go less. I mean, it gets expensive too, within reason. Those things aren't often the cheapest fish in the world. J-Dub, thank you for the super chat. Glad you guys are doing better. Been watching for several months. Thanks for all your help. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you being here. That's awesome. All right, let me see here. Scrolling on down. Mad Medic, thank you very much for the stickered fist bumping dude.
Aww.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, let me see here. I'm scrolling around. Oh, I got to the bottom of the whole thing. Let's see here. Alice says, I have a 6-foot tank, about 100-gallon. Can I oxygenate, aerate the tank with a wave maker, or do I 100% need air stones? So here's a fun fact for you. If you're truly interested in oxygenating your tank, the wave maker is going to do a much better job of that than air stones do. Air stones, when you see those big giant bubbles that are being produced from the air stone itself, the air is trapped in that bubble and it doesn't release until it pops, and 90% of the time it's probably popping at the surface, releasing the oxygen back out into the atmosphere. So what you're getting with an air stone, generally speaking, unless it's really, like, there are some air stones that have very, 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 like, almost micro bubbles, which can actually cause a whole host of issues on their own. But for the most part, what you're getting when you're running air stones is surface agitation. And that's going to create gas exchange. It's going to allow CO2 to leave the tank. It's going to allow oxygen to enter. And so that's what you're getting. That's the primary benefit. While a wave maker at the top is giving you far, far more surface agitation. Of course, what you have to consider are the types of fish. Because if you had, let's say, angelfish or severums or bettas or longfin guppies or longfin anything, some of these fish don't like being blown around. And so it makes sense then to use air stones, which can be very localized, as opposed to using a wave maker that's going to probably create quite a bit of surface agitation, but possibly at the expense of fish. Not only that, you also have to consider when you're feeding your fish, a lot of people want to shut those wave makers down because if you're putting in flake food or something like that, or even pellets, like you put it in, if the wave maker's doing a pretty decent job, then 100 gallons, like all the food just blows to one side of the tank. It's all floating down there and right plastered against the side up towards the bottom. That can be a little bit more annoying than if you just got the air stones. It's like, yeah, it's causing that surface agitation, and then the food just kind of falls where it was placed. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Cheryl said, hi, Cheryl. I went to Menards to get pool filter sand, and several employees had to send me to different departments, each time confused why I wanted it in winter. I ended up having to pick it up in their huge back shed. I laugh because that's exactly what happened to me when I got pool filter way back when. They sent me to 2 different areas, and then finally wound up being in the complete back of the building.
It's in the back corner.
Way back corner. Yeah.
Yeah, and
but worth it.
By that time, though, what's funny is usually if you're looking for pool filter stand in the middle of winter, and when we did a lot of the original setup of the fish room, it just happened to be, I thought it might have been, or at least part of it was in the fall, and pool swimming season was over. So they had put that stuff on a pallet way in the back. Mm-hmm. And by that point, what you're dealing with are like bags that are cracked open and all kinds of stuff. So you're just trying to gather up a couple bags that aren't already, like, broken in pieces and stuff. Mm-hmm. But at least around here, Menards is like the place where they always have it. When we do the other big box stores, they don't seem to have it on hand as often.
No.
So yeah.
Okay, one more. I'm gonna grab from Abhijit Singh. Could you please guide on the best remedy for internal fish parasites? Lots of warm regards from India.
Well, thank you very much for being here. There are 2 go-to medicines that I would recommend. One is they're both Fritz Aquatics meds, and they're Expel P and Paracleanse. They have different meds, basically, and I don't remember which one is which, but it's a mix of metronidazole. I think levamisole is in one of them, and I can't remember the other. I think there might be one other medication in one of those 2 brand names. So, but Expel P and the Paracleanse is going to basically give you a more or less, if it's not going to be cleared by those 2 things, chances are pretty good it's not really going to work. The best thing to do, really, when you have an internal parasite is if your fish are still eating, that's your best possible scenario, because then you can feed them medicated foods. Like, we usually keep medicated metronidazole flakes in our fish room just in case, because those internal parasites are primarily going to be impacted when the medication is ingested. Well, if it's in the water, it's not being ingested in the same way as it would be if it was in the food. So you really want that contact time between the medication and the actual parasite. Medicated foods are your best option if the fish are not eating, or you can't find those, then something like an Expel P, Paracleanse, which again is kind of like a metronidazole and levamisole sort of medication. So yeah. We got a new primetime or primate primetime partner. All the letters are running together. Is this how do we? My eyes are really bad.
Kira Helflin.
Yes. So
Maybe? See here.
When the names get all I see 2 R's and an A, so Kira Helfin. Thank you so much for being here. Glad you're here. I hope you enjoy the experience. And you can feel free to correct us down in the comment section below. Like, yeah, you really messed that up, blind man. So it's just me. You wouldn't be the first one.
No.
All right, let me see what we got going on here. A couple more minutes, and we will do our thing. I haven't forgotten. Don't worry. I have not forgotten. Let's see here. Fish water. What do y'all do to adjust your tap for softer water fish? Here in Kansas, we have liquid rock out of the tap, so I'm curious. So there is, in my opinion, only one thing that can be done that is going to be a surefire way of removing hardness from water, and that is an RODI unit. And we do have one that we got from where did we get that RODI unit? I'm blanking. Do you remember? It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, we have an RODI unit, and that's just going to take everything. It's going to take your TDS from whatever it is. I think it lowered ours out of the unit. It was like a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or something like that, total dissolved solids. Outside of that, there's really not much else you can do. The downsides to using RODI is obviously it can be a little bit expensive to set it up. You are going to have to be patient, right? Some of these units are only going to give you a small volume of water. So if you're looking at, I've got a 900-gallon tank, which, I mean, if that's what you have, I had 900 gallons to do. Yeah, that could take a long time. You have to really kind of space out how you're going to do your water changes. But it is a surefire way to, and then you're still going to have to remineralize, right? You're not going to use just straight RO, or maybe what you're going to do is, all right, I'm going to try and do half RO, half tap, and then see where your GH and your KH are from there. Always keeping in mind that whenever you mess with RO water and you're removing carbonate hardness from your tap, your pH becomes more sensitive to fluctuations, and you want to try to avoid that as much as you can. Okay,
I got a couple here. Kyan wants to know, where can I get leaves for shrimp tanks? Well, catappa leaves, almond leaves. Flip Aquatics, they're a channel sponsor, but they do have a lot of those on hand. The video that I just did on the small scape today, I show off some botanicals, and I had gotten them from, what's the name? Shrimp Farm.
I don't know.
Shrimp Farm. Anyways, but it was an email. It was just an email address on his card. And then, but yeah, online there's a lot of sources to find those. And then Noelle wanted to know, hi Noelle, any plans for another Saturday morning small scape live stream?
Do we have any plans?
Well, not this weekend.
Yeah.
What about the following weekend?
Yeah,
Maybe?
I think. So the answer is yes. Yes, there are plans to do another small. So the other channel, for those of you who aren't aware, we've got Primetime Aquatics, which obviously you're aware of, and then Joanna's channel, The Small Scape. And what we're going to try to do in 2022 is at least once a month, try to do a live stream there on Saturday mornings in place of your normal Saturday video, because it allows for people who, we've got people from England and India and Australia and other people who are not night people, they're morning people, and sometimes that time works out a little bit better, so we can all hang out. And
talk nano tanks.
And talk,
plants.
Talk nano tanks and plants. And I get to sit over there, and she sits over here, but somehow all the controls still go over to the side, but I don't talk as much. So
that works.
If you get tired of hearing me talk, like, maybe the Saturday morning one would be a better option. Bloodworms and beets. Love it. Planning on stocking my 75-gallon planet tank with a Geopari, electric blue acara, and a gang of some koi cats. I'm looking for ideas for any other centerpiece fish and some schooling fish. One thing I will say, be careful with that electric blue acara. Ours ate the heck out of plants. We can't keep plants in our 125. We couldn't keep them in our 40. Couldn't keep them in the 150. And the electric blue acaras were always a part of the reason why. So I don't know what it'll do if you try to do like some Anubias and stuff like that. Maybe it would leave those alone. But it just, anytime we had a tank with electric blue acara, we were unable to do a plant thing. So I'm looking for ideas for any other centerpiece. In a 75, I would just go with the Geopari. And if you're going to do the electric blue acara, do those. you could start running into issues with a little bit of cichlid infighting. The other thing you could do potentially is maybe like a pearl gourami. Those are really, really pretty fish, and they have a tremendous amount of iridescence. That's not a cichlid, so maybe the aggression thing wouldn't be as bad. In terms of schooling fish in a 75, you've got a lot of options. Maybe you could do pick your favorite rainbow fish. Maybe you pick 2 or 3 or 4 different types of rainbow fish if you like those. A lot of action towards the top of the tank, a lot of nice color. I really like Congo tetras. The color on those are amazing. The fins are really cool, especially when you get the more dominant males. Colombian tetras are pretty cool. I like black phantom tetras a lot. I think those are a nice fish. What else? We have in our 75 heavily planted tank, we've got some Florida flagfish that are really cool. They're not necessarily schooling fish, but they do help with like the green hair algae and stuff. Let's see what else. In our 75 planted tank, we also have a group of glass cats. Those are cool. You get a nice group. They're not something that's going to like just be like in your face. In fact, sometimes they can be a little bit shy, but they've worked out pretty well. In a tank like what you're describing, we've done Rombo Barbs in our 75. Those are really cool fish. Not quite as nippy as some of the other Barbs, but so those are just some ideas. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see here. Stacy, thank you very much for the super chat. Hey, thanks for the amazing content. I'm starting a 12-gallon long for some Neolamprologus similis. Those are shell dwellers, for those of you who have not heard of those. How many fish should I get to have enough for babies without overstocking? Will they eat snails? Okay, so first of all, that's going to be an awesome tank. A 12-gallon long is a great tank for shell dwellers. And the reason it's a great tank is a 12-gallon, at least our 12-gallon long was about, 36 inches
30,
long?
Something like that?
No, the 12 was 36. That's the one you had.
Was it?
Because that was hanging off the edges of your stand.
That's true.
So it's about 36. It's not very wide, not very tall, but the shell dwellers like to stay near the bottom. So what I generally do with the shell dwellers is, especially with the similis, one, I don't know if you've decorated the tank yet or thought about setting it up, but actually the similis are one of the few shell dwellers, they're one of the few fish, period, from Lake Tanganyika that I think actually look better on a darker, like a black substrate, because they have kind of like an opposite banding pattern compared to the multis. So for us, and they look good on light. So if you're going to go, I want to really go white sand, trust me, they're still going to look great. But with the darker sand substrates, they really tend to pop in terms of their color. I only do about a half a dozen when I start my group. That usually is going to give you enough to have at least one female or at least one male. If you wanted to do 8, you could. Tons of shells. You could do a little bit of rock work in that tank. But if you're going to do, like, let's say a half a dozen, easily put in like 20 shells. You get those bags of escargot shells from Amazon, and they're cheap. You just rinse them off. I think you can get like bags of like 24 or 36. They're not very expensive. You just got to kind of dip them in there and turn it over a little bit so that the bubbles come out, and just chuck them all over the place and watch them rearrange your tank. So don't, I remember with you got so mad because they would just absolutely rearrange everything. So don't get attached to your hardscape. Mm-hmm. Your rocks aren't going to move. I promise you, your shells are going to move. Your sand is going to move. They're going to put big mounds. They don't care where they do it. Sometimes like, oh my gosh, there is a giant mound of sand right in the middle of my front part of the glass.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. And then you know what? You can go in there and flatten it out and think that you're all cool and be like, hey, I'll show those fish. Flatten it out. And you'll go down there the next day and be like, well, all I did was annoy them because they put the big giant pile of sand right back where it was. So just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. I would do about a half a dozen. Oink Master Supreme Forever has been a member for 4 months.
What?
4. Thank you so much. What would you recommend as the best newbie wood type plants combo in my 125 gallon with 7 blood parrots, 3 Texas, 1 firemouth, and 1 medium common pleco with sand? Okay, so we've got wood type plant combo. I don't know. So I'm not sure how the Texas cichlid is going to respond to the plants, even if they were glued to the wood. Like, I'm not sure. I haven't kept Texas cichlids, so part of me wonders if they're going to eat the plants. I don't know. I don't think fire moths do, from what I can remember. I think the common pleco will rasp on the plants. I don't remember that being an issue. The blood parrots, I don't think they will. I don't know about the Texas cichlids though. But anyway, if for the wood in a 125, you want some swimming space. So I wouldn't do like the spider woods or anything like that. Or what's the other one? Is it manzanita? That's also like kind of. I think I'd stay away from those. Because you've got the blood parrots, 7 blood parrots are very active fish. They're going to get caught up, and plus they're cool, but they're not always all there in the brain system sometimes. So I just see them wedging themselves in anything that's got like spider wood or manzanita that's going to have lots of branches. So stay away from that, and then you're left with like the Mopani, Malaysian.
That'll expect a lot of tannins to come out of Malaysian.
Yep. And Mopani will give you some as well.
But you may want to spider wood, like the pieces that are not what you're saying, not very branchy.
Yeah.
You can get smaller pieces and attach them together, either with zip ties or however you want to do it, and create larger pieces. Have it come out, if it's going to be like kind of like a cool center structure, or even like double islands, with the plants in between there.
And then for the plants. Here's what I would do. My experiment would probably be gluing Anubias to some of the wood that you get. And don't go crazy with the plants at first. Just see are they still there in a week? Because the last thing you want to do is be like, all right, I just spent $50 on plants. Turned out it was a nice salad for my fish, and they destroyed it. So you are going to have to glue it, though. I wouldn't try to plant any plants in the substrate, because your firemouth, I know Texas cichlids dig. I've had firemouths before. They dig. Blood parrots are just crazy. So those fish, even a common pleco, they're like bulls in a china shop. They're going to uproot plants. So I would try maybe some Anubias, just a couple, glue them, see how they do. And after a few weeks, like, oh, I still have them. Okay, we're good. So, yeah.
Do we have any hubrosis cories?
Yes, we do.
Where?
We have them in your tank.
Which one?
With the white clouds in the 7.5. And they're also in with our tiger limia.
With the white clouds?
Yes.
You mean the pig?
Those are not pygmy cories. They're hubrosis.
I always.
Yeah.
Okay, so Delta Charlie. Did we get any footage when I'm the one who got the footage for the Nano Nook tour? And I don't know. I don't think they're very difficult. I see them maybe if I'm lucky once a week.
Yeah.
If I really stock out the tank. But I always think that they're pygmies.
No, they are hubrosis.
Time, and every single time you say, no, they're hubrosis.
Yeah, and you said that in your video, and I was going to be like, hey, you said it in your video. And then I was just like, nah, whatever, it's fine.
Okay.
It's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's okay. All right, we're gonna do these couple super chats here, and then we're gonna get into the giveaway. Like I said, it's not a big, huge thing. It's just a thing. Mm-hmm. Chris says, Joanna, I owe you. That blue paint cup from Dollar Tree is my new favorite tool. Here's $5 for your next trip to the tree. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really
Isn't
appreciate
it the best? And I will have you know that at the Oase booth in Aquashella, they were using cups like that, probably not Dollar Tree, because it wasn't like flat on one side, I don't think, which is inferior, but they're using that to add, I think, water or something to the tanks. And I was like, that's right. It's an amazing tool.
Well, and I use that cup whenever I have to scrape out substrate.
Yeah, because it's one end is flat.
Because it's flat, and so it's really easy to scoop. So that's my
It's great
go-to.
for holding fish too.
Yeah, for smaller fish. Yeah, for sure. All right, so the giveaway tonight is our first one ever, and we're going to go over the game rules here. The rules are for the winner. Hold on, I got all this stuff. I had to write it down. So whoever wins, you just have to submit your address so we can actually send you the thing to, are you ready? Hold on, no, not that yet.
I know that's not yet.
Primetime giveaway at yahoo.com. Primetime giveaway at yahoo.com. So the winner just submits their address, name to that, and that's how we know where to send the thing. Now, we're going to keep this simple. At least we're going to keep it simple tonight. Although I think we're going to drastically up our game the next time we do it.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be related to that week's video, that Monday video. But for today, because it's the first time, we're going to keep it more simple. So the giveaway for tonight, and again, it's not anything huge, so I hope that it's not, crazy. But what we're doing tonight is, I got to hold this back here. These are Northfin algae wafers, kelp wafers, in fact. And we actually talked about these before. And there are a lot of algae wafers out there that they say algae on them, and they're not. They're just regular old, plain old fish food. And if you look at their ingredients compared to other ingredients, it's like, oh, this is basically just community flake or community pellets that have been turned green. We actually did a video. I linked that video down in the description below. But these came from Northfin. This is Flip Aquatics, flipaquatics.com. Again, they are a channel sponsor, and we are working with our sponsors to do giveaways as much as we can this coming year. And they sent us some stuff. They're like, hey, have them check it out. So if you are interested in Northfin Foods, and this is high quality food. This is why Northfin Food has been our exclusive prepared food for over 2 years now at this point. It's the only prepared food that we feed in our fish room. I mean, as we do frozen bloodworms and brine shrimp and live baby brine, but when it comes to pellets, flakes, that kind of thing, this is it. It's all we feed. And the nice thing about these kelp flakes is, one, kelp. It's the first ingredient. So when you look at the actual thing in the back, it's like, oh yeah, this is actual real plant-based material. And so this is not just for plecos. I know it's also like a little pleco here.
They're so cute when they eat on it too.
But plecos, cory cats, pretty much all African cichlids, so your mbunu, your peacocks, our silver dollars, bala sharks, tinfoil barbs, when we had them, used to go crazy, our severums, our rainbow, you name it, all of our loaches. Clown loaches go crazy for this stuff. So this is not just an algae eater food. This is a food that you can put in to your tank, and it will probably get eaten by a lot of fish, more than you would ever think. Okay, it is 100 grams. So it's a nice size bag. It'll probably last you a little while. Now, here's how we do this. I am going to start. I'm going to type start in the chat. And when I do, hold on, let me get it pre-started here. Let me get the start pre-started. Me have something.
I do.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to put start in there.
Okay. Wait.
You have a number between 1 and 50 written down. Don't show it.
I'm not. I'm showing the
first
other
person
side.
Who gets the actual number right gets the prize. So all I got to do is pick a number between 1 and 50. It'll be more than 1, less than 50. First person who actually gets it. Wait, what is the number? Okay, no, I got it. Don't say it out loud.
Wait.
It's going. Oh my gosh, this is going way fast. I got it. I see it.
Okay.
Do you see it?
I see it.
All right. Where do you have it? Right here?
Yeah.
Pre-proto.
Our first winner.
Number 37.
Congratulations.
You have got the kelp wafers.
You see that? 37.
Pre-proto.
37.
I love it. So here's what you got to do, pre-proto. You have to send us an email, please, to, hold on, let me make sure I get the email address right. Primetime giveaway. It's all one giant word.
Singular. Primetime giveaway.
Primetime giveaway. It's all singular. At yahoo.com. Just send us your contact information. We'll mail this bad boy out tomorrow, and hopefully you'll get it in a little while. So, pre-proto, you won. Awesome. Well, that was fun. That was exciting. Holy cow, we got a lot of numbers popping up there.
Primetime giveaway at yahoo.com. I'm typing
Okay, yeah, go ahead and put that in there.
And I'm going to add a smiley face.
And add a smiley face, Jay Hauser. 40 breeder. Now, what I will say is we'll do this again soon. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. We've actually got some kits, like not fish tank kits, but some product kits that we're going to be doing a giveaway to, and it's going to be pretty awesome. So yeah, it's going to be cool. But
this is a good question.
What's that?
We're going to have to address. All right. Is the is the giveaway global?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, I probably should have mentioned that. No, we can do this in the United States, right?
Okay.
But not global. So if you won, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a
going forward.
Yeah, going forward, that was a small little detail I left out. But pre-proto, don't worry, we got you. We'll figure it out. But
Fish fan 20 killed him.
Game over. Nice. Thank you for that.
Oh my gosh.
It's
That's
official.
funny.
Game over. That was exciting. Well, I'm glad people were excited about it. Like I said, we'll have a variety of things. I don't think we have anything that we're going to be doubling up on in the next 4 to 6 months. So pretty cool. Glad you all got to play.
Yay.
Send to
fun.
Antarctica. Like, oh man, dang it. So,
I'll drive it there.
Yeah. Thanks for playing. You guys are awesome. Let's get back to answering some questions and doing our stuff. But again, thank you again to Flip Aquatics for sending us this Northfin food. Check them out, flipaquatics.com. It's definitely a cool thing.
All right,
Let's see.
here. This is a great name too. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here, fishy. That's
Nice.
so cute. Okay. I've read that my clown loach can grow up to 1 foot. So far, mine only has fins. Any suggestions?
Yes, that is true.
Seriously, they can get that big?
Oh, absolutely.
I know
I've
they
seen
got
them that
big,
big.
but not
Yeah.
that big.
I have seen some extraordinarily large clown loaches. In fact, the last time I saw really large clown loaches, Aquatic Experience 2019 in New Jersey, there was a setup there. I don't remember who had the setup, but it was a very large tank. I think they were actually selling these clown loaches, and they were every bit a foot long. They were huge. That was the last time I saw them that large, but absolutely. Now, are they going to get that large very quickly? No, they do not tend to grow very fast. So we've got a group of 5 or 6 in our 150 gallon, and the largest one, and the largest of the clown loaches are probably, I don't know, I'm losing track of time now, how long I've kept some of these fish, but conservatively 6 or 7 years old, possibly more. And the largest ones are 7 inches, maybe 6 inches. And they could be females. I have no idea, but they're not fast growers. So I wouldn't freak out and be like, oh man, what am I going to do? I got a 55 gallon. If you got a 4-foot tank, you're probably going to have a little bit of time before you have to worry about upgrading. All right. I saw a question that here we are.
Whips World wants to know. The winning number is 37.
Winning number was 37.
37.
Yeah. Pre-proto. Killing it with the right guess. Probably could see it through the paper or something. Jay Hauser, hey, is Jason or any word on if Florida is gonna pop off with Aquashella? Yeah, Aquashella is a thing that is going to be happening. We're going to be there. February the 26th. It's the last weekend in February. February 26th, 27th. I know, and we still have some planning to do there. So yeah, we are planning to be there. I think it's going to be awesome. I just saw I'm part of. A small part of the planning committee for the fish tube booth, and just saw the layout came through. So plans are fully in works. They've got, as far as I know, and I haven't been on the website in a while, I think they've got the speakers lined up, and I don't know if they're on the website or not. Maybe you could check that out real fast. But aquashella.com. But things are definitely, planning to hang out and hopefully see as many of you there as possible, because it's going to be fun. It is my most favoriteest thing to do when it comes to aquatic sort of things. All right, what do we got here? What you got?
Oh, Greg wants to know how many dwarf gourami can you put with 8 angelfish in a 75 gallon?
How many would I put in there? So if it were me, I would only do 1. And it's not necessarily that I'm worried about although I am sort of, I guess, kind of worried about the interactions between the dwarf gouramis and the angels. But I'm more concerned, at least immediately, about the dwarf gouramis with other dwarf gouramis. Yeah, they're smaller, but they can still be aggressive towards one another. For me, when I'm trying to maximize my fun in the fish keeping hobby, I'm trying to reduce the aggression as much as possible. And that's just something for me where I'm like, okay, I'll do a dwarf gourami. And even that's not a guarantee, because those angelfish and dwarf gouramis sometimes can not be the best of friends. Just larger gouramis in general with angelfish, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it works just fine. We've had the combination work. In our 150, we had a very large veil-tail angel, and we had actually an opaline gourami, and those can be pretty aggressive, and they ignored each other for many years. So it just depends. But the dwarf on dwarf gourami crime could be bad. So there are 2 gouramis that I feel relatively comfortable keeping in large groups. One are honey gouramis, So as long as I've got a decent sized tank, I will have no hesitation in keeping 6, 8, 10 of those together with no issues. And the other are the pearl gouramis, and they do get larger. In fact, you could consider that. The pearl gouramis I've kept in large groups. In fact, I have to show all of you that tank because, except for the members, I don't think anybody's seen it. We've got a large, a 55 gallon with like 18 pearl gouramis. It's really cool. It's a really cool tank. I'm going to have to kind of show that one off because, and they all get along just fine. And it's been that way for months. All right, let's see here. What is so funny? Stuff is horrible.
All right, if you're asking us, Alex, Secret History, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So prime time. All right. Okay, guys. If you each got to get one species of fish tattooed on you, which one would it be? If you already have one, pretend I said it's a face tattoo.
Wait, do I have to get a face tattoo?
No, just a fish tattoo.
A fish tattoo. It would have to be something with an amazing amount of color.
Yeah.
See, but then I go back and forth. It's like, well, if it's a Betta, would it be too feminine?
I don't see you putting a Betta.
Well, but I want something that would have like color.
Oh, sure.
A grouper. It's got no color. I just changed everything.
Just don't do
care.
a giant gourami.
I do like a grouper, and it would be like the mouth would be like right here. So when I go like this, the mouth would go like blah blah blah. I do a giant gourami. I do a flower horn where the nuchal hump would be on my forehead. So it'd be like a little eyes right here, big old nuchal hump. But then you could get like those skull implants. Yeah,
that's gross. No.
I would lose basically all my friends, my family. Like, he really did it. He put a nuchal hump on his forehead and did the tattoo. That was really, really horrible looking.
What would I do?
You'd probably do like the smallest fish ever, and it would just be this dot.
Oh my gosh!
Yep.
Right, a tiny little green neon.
Like, what is that?
That would be pretty funny.
It's a green neon fry. Mm-hmm. It just looks like you forgot to shave that one little piece of hair. No, it's a green neon fry.
No, I would probably do it Betta because they're so beautiful and you can get like a really cool pose.
Right on your face. Like a Mike Tyson. Now that would be cool, right? You show up, like you wake up, like right. What is that movie, that Hangover movie where he wakes up with the tattoo on his face? Yeah. Except now you've got like a Betta and it's like curled around.
Gosh, right?
Yeah.
Doing it
it's not coming off.
Style.
Let's see here. Darren says, I have an established tank that's been running for over a year now. No matter what I do, always seem to be cloudy. And I'm doing nothing different when feeding. All other parameters check out okay. That's annoying. I feel your pain there. We have a tank like that too, and believe it or not, it's a shrimp tank. It's a 40-gallon breeder, and we do all the same things we do at all the other tanks. In that particular tank, I think it's actually some cheap dragonstone that is just constantly releasing crud into the water. Just like it's just cloudy clay. So that would be one thing to check. Mm-hmm. Is what kind of rocks do you have in the tank? What kind of substrate do you have in the tank? Could that be a reason why? We've had other tanks where they would stay cloudy for a considerable amount of time, and part of that was just there was no ammonia, no nitrite, nitrates were under control, just a little extra algae on the glass, and it was just that white cloudy algae. So double check that as well. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but sometimes you'll get a very thin film of just that white kind of like biofilm, and you go in there with a soft algae scraper, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, my fish tank looks totally normal again. So just make sure it's not that. If it's not, so check your rocks, your substrate. Are you changing out your filter media? Do you have a lot of filter floss in there? Because sometimes filter floss will take a lot of that cloudiness out as well. So just some suggestions.
Uh-oh. Alex has, I was going to ask Alex what you have. All right. Or what would you have? He has a trout, but wait.
There's more.
There is more. This gets way better. I tattooed it on myself. It's 17 years old. It's awesome. Oh my gosh.
If I did that, it'd be upside down.
He says he may need another. You know what? I will give you a green neon tattoo myself.
Oh boy. Yeah, that would look really good.
Can you imagine?
You would definitely not want that to happen.
It's a tiny.
Elizabeth Wagner's been a member for 5 months. Thanks for being here for those past 5 months.
Cool.
Best size tank for a Nano Aquascape.
Oh gosh. Best size?
Size.
Depends what kind of fish you're going to want to keep. I mean, you can have a large. I mean, you can have a large. You can have a 10-gallon. You can have a 20-gallon. And then you can have a lot of, you can have an actual nano school of fish in there. Like the 14-gallon that I just set up. That one's really cool. It's not that large of a tank, but it's large enough to hold multiple schools of fish.
That actually was a tank I was going to suggest.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's new. It's just because when I look at, there are challenges. So I know the bookshelf tanks, and we like them a lot, but when it comes to aquascaping, there are significant challenges you've experienced with these very long, very narrow, very short tanks. I love those tanks. They're some of my favorites. But, even like a 33 long, when you're strictly talking about an aquascape, that can be difficult. I like the 14-gallon bow front that you did because it was deep enough where you had a little bit of space to add some depth, which was cool. So, yeah. Jay Hauser, thank you so much for becoming a prime timer, prime time partner, primate. Glad you're here. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, skipping around here. Keith, thank you very much for the super chat. My recommendation for Jason's tattoo would be a Geophagus altifrons. Joanna should get an Anubias tattoo. Geophagus altifrons, I mean, that's he inspired pretty much our shirts.
That's him.
He is
King
the
George.
fish. I've said it a million times. He's the fish in our fish room. My number one, my go-to dude that I just like to look at.
I can't even imagine when he
Don't talk about it. We're not going to talk about that
heartbroken.
bad. Don't give me that bad juju you're talking about right now because I don't want to hear it. But yeah, he's the ultimate fish, and he knows it too. He's one of those fish that he just kind of shows up and he's like, "Hey, you want to look at me? You want to check me out? Because I'm here, man. I'm here, just showing off." And he's right in the center of that 150 every single morning, and every single night, just showing off how cool he is. Ricky's been a member for 12 months. Thanks. Appreciate you being here so long. Hey guys, I can't believe it's been a year. Yeah, that's really cool. Very cool. 12 months. That's old school right there. Let's see here. Whips World 14-gallon rimless cube. Yeah, you're right. That's a great. The cubes are great tanks.
Whip. All right, okay. So Whip. You are always saying that you don't have nano tanks. I don't have nano tanks. That's great, but I don't have nano tanks. And you were talking before about your 14-gallon. That's a nano tank. I'm just telling you, you've got yourself a nano tank.
It kind of is.
Totally cool. I want a cube tank. Finwiggle's got that size too, I think.
Yeah.
I was looking at it. I love those.
Bob says Joanna would get a green neon tattoo, and a neon would have a tattoo of an Anubius plant, Anubius nana petite.
Oh my gosh.
Here's what I think. You know what I'm going to do to you someday?
What?
How many of you think this would be a good idea? One day.
Oh no.
Don't know why this popped into my head. Because it's getting late. And I don't know what you put in this bubbly, but
See, it's flower extract.
It's really horrible. But it must do something to your brain because here's what popped into my brain. How funny would it be if on a Wednesday morning, Joanna woke up, I shaved her eyebrows off, and in place of them, I put in tattoos of green neons. And then I made her do the live stream later that night. Would that not be the funniest thing ever? I think we should do that as some milestone.
Well, how would you like to wake up without a beard?
Hey, this is for you.
Oh,
all right, how about this?
This is for you.
Let's get Joanna to like 100,000 subscribers on the small scape. I'll shave her eyebrows and tattoo where the eyebrows used to be with green neons.
Back? I'd be like sweating.
That would be.
Gosh.
I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't wake up or anything with somebody tattooing your forehead. What is going on? Why is my eyes hurt? No reason, sweetheart. Yeah, that'd be the end of Primetime Aquatics and live streams, and that would create a whole lot of drama in the fish keeping community. Did you hear what he did? He really did it.
Killer Kitty 08 said we would laugh and laugh at Jason's funeral.
Yeah, pretty much. It would be the end of. It'd be the end of this situation as you know it, but it might be worth it. I think it might be.
Wow.
Bob says, how many likes for Jason to shave? I'm not doing it. I can tell you that this part of my face, so this part right here, like the goatee area of my face, has not seen sunlight or the light of day since I was in high school. No, that's not true. That's not true. Probably since 1990...
Late 90s, right?
94, 95, I think, was the last time I might have been clean shaven. Because I never was when we met. We met in 90. Well, I mean, we met in what, 97,
98?
It would have been 98. Yeah, and I had facial hair for a couple years before that. So, yep.
That'd be weird.
And the Bearded Mystic has become a primetime partner because we're committed to facial hair. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Very cool. Let's see here. DSAP says, day 5 in my fish in cycle using Seachem Prime and Stability. Can I gravel vac pleco poop or just leave it to create more ammonia? Get it out of there. If you're doing a fish in cycle, you want to do everything you can to try and avoid an ammonia spike. So I like where you're thinking. I mean, you're pondering the right thing. So that's good. I would get as much fish waste out of that tank. I would not want to be doing stuff that's going to create a bunch of ammonia, because even with those additives, you could still wind up with some ammonia. That's all that's going to do is stress your fish. Now, if you didn't have any fish in the tank, I'd say let it fly. Then you're fine. I mean, you can let that ammonia just spike, but because there's fish in that tank, we want to try to control it as much as possible. Ricky says, I'm sure you wouldn't be alive for long, Jason. I'm assuming, yeah. Plus, you got to understand there's another problem here is I don't know how to do like a tattoo thing. So if I did shave her eyebrows and tattoo green neons on where her eyebrows used to be.
You draw kind of interesting too.
Yeah, I'm not artistic, so I don't know how to draw. So that's problem number one. I really can't stay in the lines when I color. That's another problem. And two, I don't know how to use the tool that would actually cause the fish to stick in her face. So I got a lot going against me there. So what might very well wind up happening is you might wind up seeing just big blotches of random greenish, bluish, reddish color and a stick figure fish. It could be very bad. I mean, this could go wrong in a lot of different ways.
You think?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, not a good situation. All right, let's see here. I am scrolling around.
Oh, Joseph, great suggestion. Temporary tattoos.
Do I still get to shave your eyebrows, though?
No.
No?
No.
All right. Well, this whole thing's falling off the rails. It's not nearly as exciting if I'm just going to be temporary tattooing your face and you're going to get to keep your eyebrows. That's. I don't think she deserves 100,000 subs then. I just think we're going to have to forget that whole thing.
Okay, I'm all right with that. Stick figure green neons. That's funny, Alex.
The fish lover Jason, do you think 82, 83 guarantee? I might have missed an original question there. If you could maybe type it again. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm supposed to. Delta Charlie, yeah, Jason, on second thought, maybe the eyebrow tattoo isn't the greatest idea. Yeah, you know, you guys are always so down to earth, and you just keeping me based over here so I don't do anything silly. Valerie, Joanna would probably wake up with the shaving of the eyebrows unless she's a really deep sleeper.
I'm not that deep.
I don't know. Lately,
no.
Yeah, I think you might sleep through that one. Yeah. You just might.
Maybe if I get sick again.
There's a possibility I could sleep through a beard shaving if I'm really knocked out, but I would be. I'm not kidding you. If that happened, if you did that to me, I would show up with a fake beard until it grew back. I would have a surrogate beard that would, I don't even care. I would just have to be whatever it is. I just go to the Christmas store and get a Santa Claus beard and be like, people be like, man, it all went great. Nope, it's coming back. It'll be fine.
They'd be so happy that it's like all one color and stuff. Like,
yep.
Wow.
Brad asks, do you still use Hygger lights in your fish house? If so, how do you feel about them? Yes, this light right behind us is a Hygger. I always forget that too, but this 4-foot light is a Hygger light. Absolutely love it. We still have the one I put on the 20. So I did that. I know. I'm sorry, everybody. I think I've been asked more the last 6 months about what about the Hygger light update, because I always do long-term reviews. I usually wait a year. Now it's been like a year and a half. People are like, wow, what's going on? Excuse me. But I love the Hygger light. We bought the original one for the 20-gallon long. Really like that light. We have since added, I think there's 3 or 4 more downstairs, plus this one up here. They've all been working out really, really well. From what I can remember, and I have to go back and test, the only downside to that light that I've seen so far is I don't think, I'm 90% certain that the light, if you change the settings, I'm not sure the light will remember the settings if you put the light on a timer or if the light shuts off. I think, but don't quote me on that. But other than that, I mean, the light spectrum it's my favorite of all the lights. We've got Fluval 3.0s, we've got Phoenix Stingray 2s, we've got the Hygers, we got pretty much at this point, almost every light, the Aquaskies, the Night Cruise, you name it, we've got the lights somewhere floating around our fish room. And of all of the lights that we have, the Hyger light is my favorite color spectrum. I just like the way it looks the most. So, yeah.
Shannon. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Brian. Just, we keep you grounded because we love you and don't want you to leave us before God chooses.
Well, I appreciate that. You're looking out for my interests and my health.
Oh, my gosh. That's so funny.
I appreciate everybody who said don't shave your wife's eyebrows and give her green neon tattoos.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
This stuff is still horrible, and I'm going to probably I'm going to pay a price or something for that because I drank like half that thing. I will never forget my water bottle again.
Fish fan 20-gallon long. I guess no one can see my super chat after the first one.
What? What happened?
Wait, I don't know.
Can you scroll? Hold on.
I'm going to try, but
no.
only go...
I've got a way.
Do you?
I think I have a way. Hold on just a second, but go ahead. You start answering some questions while I look up this stuff.
Did we see Ricky's? I'm sure you wouldn't be alive for long, Jason. Super chat.
Yeah, I read that one off.
Okay,
absolutely.
All right. Just checking.
Yep. Hold on. Come on now.
Here's a question from Denise. I'm currently cycling my new 16-gallon water box and wanting to stock it with guppies and shrimp when it's cycled. How many of each is a good number so it's not overstocked?
What size?
16.
16-gallon
water box.
Water box with what?
Guppies and shrimp.
Guppies and shrimp. And we want to know what?
How many of each?
Well, with the 16-gallon, I would probably do again, for the guppies and the shrimp, I like to see them breed. So I might just do a couple males and like 3 or 4 females per male. So maybe you're up to like 10 total guppies. And then for the shrimp, easily do a half a dozen adults, and they may or may not survive. Like the shrimplets may or may not survive the guppies preying on them. But yeah, so that's all right. So I went back.
Okay.
Wait, no, this was from last week. Hold on. So I know at the beginning. So very happy you're back healthy. I'm nervously going to try my hand at setting up the 20-gallon long of real plants. You've been given support, knowledge, inspiration I need, hopefully to turn out at least half as good. Yep, we read that one at the beginning, right? We are talking about fish fan 20-gallon long, yeah. So absolutely, thank you for that. Hope you have an amazing experience with that. That's gonna be cool. It really is.
Is there a second one?
Hold on, that's what right. And then I see the game over. We saw the game over one right after the end of the thing. And then there was this one. Are you doing an anniversary retrospect in February?
Oh.
And so that was actually, that was one that was coming up. I was going to read it over here. Are we going to do an anniversary retrospect in February? It's like a 5-year thing. That's interesting.
That's a fun
like
idea.
Kind of like
it's 5 years.
Well, 5 years on YouTube. Yeah.
Wow.
And
yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to do something. We'll have to do something with that because I just. Yeah, I don't know what it'll be. Yeah, we could probably think of something pretty cool with that. But what's interesting is how long you've been on YouTube now, because it's been a couple of years already.
Really?
Yeah, I was looking for something on, I don't know, some old video because I needed some of the video from it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you've been on the channel for a while. You're kind of like a veteran now. So, but thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And then let's see here. We've got crystals, pets, and plants. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thanks for letting me hang out with you all at Aquashella in Chicago. It was a lot of fun. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
the best.
The entire reason why we go. We go because we want to hang out with you. There literally is no other reason for us to be there. So I've said this once, I'll say it 1,000 times. If you have an opportunity to go to one of the Aquashellas, or hopefully we'll be at the OCA this year, there's a couple other things that we want to do as well. We got the ACA coming up. We'd like to try to do that. But the Aquashellas are for sure going to be on our list. If you're there and we're hanging out, we that's why we're here. We're there to hang out with you guys, to meet you guys, to talk with you guys, to talk fish, what kind of fish you got, what kind of tanks do you have. That's what excites us about being there. So please, if you see us, make sure you stop by, say hello, because that's why we're there, is to hang out with you. That's if that wasn't going to be a thing, there'd be no reason for us to go. There really wouldn't be. Because at that point, if it was just a trade show where you could just see, oh, okay, we're seeing all the latest stuff, well, maybe we'd go, but it would be in and out in a few hours, just like any other trade show. But we're there because we want to hang out with you. So that's just the way it is. All right, let's see here. We are scrolling around. Pokemon. Hi there. I was wondering if Pothos vines actually help with chewing up nitrates found in your fish tank. Thanks. Yes, they do. And we have Pothos in a number of our tanks.
Yeah.
The one thing you have to consider with Pothos is if you've got fish that will eat plants, sometimes they will eat the Pothos stems and roots. So I found like our peacock cichlids, for the most part, will leave them alone to a certain extent, but I can't seem to grow Pothos in my Mbuna tanks. I couldn't grow Pothos in tanks that had severums because they would just do the same thing they would do to regular live plants. But if you have like a community tank and it's not planted and you want to try to lower nitrates, Pothos is pretty good because here's the thing. Most land plants will grow faster than most aquarium plants. And the reason for that is the land plants have full access to the CO2 in the atmosphere. And the CO2 concentrations in the atmosphere are going to be higher than they are in water. Also, light is going to penetrate a lot easier through air than it does in water. So when you get those land plants really growing, they can put a much bigger dent in nitrates than most aquarium plants will. So the trick is if you find that your fish are munching on the stems or they're munching on the roots, so what some people will do is they will put the Pothos in like a hang-on back filter. Then you just have to be careful and make sure the roots are not getting into the impeller and stuff like that. What you got?
Oinkmaster may be at Orlando next month.
That's awesome.
Hope so.
I hope you're there.
I hope you are.
If you are in a position where you're able to get to Orlando or Orlando in February, we've got Dallas in August, Chicago in October. You can get to one of those. That would be so cool.
That would be awesome.
Let's see here. Lumpy Dog says, why do Rosie Barbs get so little love in the aquarium hobby? I don't know maybe it's because they're just, every time you go to a pet store, most people see them, but Rosie Barbs are amazing fish. I mean, a full-grown Rosie Barb, when they start to get that greenish, orangish, red sort of color going to them, and they've got a nice amount of activity to them. They're not necessarily as nippy as some of the other barbs, decent size. They're awesome fish. We've had them in our 75 before. Really like them.
So Alex wants me to convince his wife to stream with him. That would be so cool.
Do it.
Yeah, have her email me.
Yep. We'll do the convincing.
Yeah.
Something about tattoos on her forehead. That's right.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, you guys could get matching forehead tattoos. I'm sure that will help the situation. Dale says, have you ever done a species profile on the wild gold tetras or even the tank bred? Both beautiful. Picked up a school of both over the weekend. Gold tetras are great. We haven't done a species profile on them in particular, but they make a big time appearance in the Ember Tetra species profile because they share a 15-gallon. So I love those fish. And what was interesting to me is when we actually got those from a pet store, and I remember the guy saying, yeah, they look cool now, but when they get older, they're not going to look as good. And I'm like, okay, well, here we are at least, a year and a half later, and I still think they look cool. Yeah. They were a little bit more gold when they were younger, but they kept quite a bit of their metallic sheen to them, even at an older size. And I don't find them to be aggressive or anything like that. I love those fish.
I do
They're
too.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to add that to the list. I'd like to, before I do that, I'd like to get a bigger group of them just to kind of show them off in a better way. Keith, thank you very much for the super chat. Joanna, what are your recommended plants for a 29-gallon cool water 68 to 70 degrees tank? Hope to see you at Aquashella in Orlando. So what do you got for a 29?
In a 29-gallon.
So temperature really doesn't matter. 68 to 70, pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, but all the plants that you would grow for the most part in a tropical fish tank are going to be okay at 68 to 70?
Yeah, generally speaking. Your cooler tank, I like Val, and that's going to get you a lot of height. If you want to put that along the back, that would be pretty cool. Anubias, you can get some taller Anubias. That would look amazing. Like the Coffeefolia, that'll get taller. You can get some other Anubias too that can fill in, so you can get a real nice little step with your Nana in the front and move up to the taller ones. Crypts will, that'll take up a nice amount of space in a tank. And then other ones, maybe like Bacopa would be pretty cool. Also Dwarfambulia, which we have in actually a number of tanks, mostly the one on the end. That's going to grow like a weed and get you a lot of height too. So those would be some picks.
Yeah.
Anything?
No, I agree. I'm a big fan of the corkscrew valve lately. I like that you added that to the tank downstairs.
That's right.
And that's a
would
fish,
be
or
great one.
a plant that grows really tall. Some of the crypts do get rather tall. We have crypts in our 29-gallon with our brilliant green raspberries, and they've grown the entire height. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of people say, "Oh, crypts are a mid-tank plant," but some of them get tall. Okay, we'll do a couple more. I think we'll do a couple more questions here, and then we'll call it a night. Son of a quack. Question on hang-on-backs. I always stuff it full of different sponges, but it affects flow. Should I remove it? And I always get a bunch of snails stuck on my sponge intake. Is that bad? Okay, so one thing, if you are stuffing your hang-on-back full of sponges, if it's impeding the flow to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, this is really slowed down, you might want to thin it out. One of the things that you could consider is maybe instead of adding this, there's a couple things. One, if you have a fine pore, right, small pore sponge, you could go to some larger pore, and that might speed things along. If you're really getting a lot of impediment in water flow, you could remove some of the sponge and just do a little bit of filter floss in there. Just cut out sheets of filter floss, pack that in there. It provides a little bit more room for water to flow. It will still catch a lot of the stuff, so that might be an option. In terms of snails stuck on my sponge intake, depends on what kind of snails they are, I suppose. If you've got like mystery snails that for some reason are getting stuck and they're not able to get back off that thing, which I don't think that would be the case, but if they're just your standard pond snails, ram's horn, I probably wouldn't worry about it as much. I worry more when, so for instance, like the AquaClear filters, that intake, it's got the vertical slats, and there's actually quite a bit of space there. I found that the AquaClear intakes are the worst when it comes to snails. I had mystery snails, and their bodies would get like stuck in there, and I'd have to turn the filter off, then try to get them back out. Obviously, the intake sponge helps, but as long as they're not like stuck in there to the point where they can't get out, they might just be eating the stuff that's getting collected there, which, hey, that's okay. All right, let's see.
For the swap meet, do we have to pre-order the fish that you will sell?
No, you don't have to. However, we generally sell out of fish very early within the swap, and what I would highly recommend is, like I said, we're going to post the fish that we're bringing to the swap on our website, primetimeaquatics.com, Monday, Tuesday at the latest. People who pre-order, they don't have to stress, right? They come in, they've already paid for their fish, we've got them in the bags, they say, hey, I pre-ordered fish, here's my name, and they get their fish, and they don't have to worry about them selling out, because generally speaking what happens is we try to price our fish at a price point where they're going to sell. I don't want to be taking fish home with me, and I want as many people to have fish as can possibly have. So we try to price very competitively. What that means is if the swap, they have early entry, I believe now at 9:30, everybody else comes in at 10. Typically by 11:15, we're like, we got a few bags left. So it's definitely best to pre-order the fish if you want to do the pickup at the swap. That way they're going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else you got?
Brandon wants to know how I had Anubius white in the kitchen tank. You know what? To keep it white, you have to have highlight. It will definitely like highlight, and even CO2. I think people will have some luck. But any of the snow white, the variegated, any of that, any kind of plant that you're trying to keep white or light color, you're going to need highlight. I don't run anything with highlight, so I knew that its time was limited. It stayed actually white way longer than I expected. I think it was a few months. But yeah, now it just really kind of looks like Newbie's Nano Petite.
Yeah, it's just a green plant. It was cool though while it was there doing white Anubias growing, but it like you said, we didn't have the light to keep it from going green, and it did. It's still cool. Green. Let's see here, Gary the Snail. Love that. You ever use play sand in any tanks? I got some in my 40 and like it. I haven't used a play sand. Because the play sand that at least is available around us was really, 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 really fine grain. And when possible, I like to be able to take a gravel vac into the sand, especially my non-planted, especially some of my cichlid tanks, and suck stuff up. And I was finding that because that play sand was such a small grain, at least like I said, the stuff by us, if I were to put a gravel vac into it or too close to the surface, it was probably going to get sucked up. So we didn't do it in that particular case. Even pool filter sand for us has been like that. So we've kind of reverted back in a lot of cases to store-bought sand, spend the extra money. But if you can find like a thicker either play sand or a pool filter sand, then yeah, it's a pretty cool thing.
We have a hello from Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, hello. Glad you're here.
That's cool.
That's very cool. Let's see here. Ebor says, is breeding for profit orientated best around the idea of filling local niche deficits? For example, if my local store needs something constantly, just fill their demand. Do expensive fish sell well? That is a great question. So yeah, anytime, local markets are going to be different. In the Chicagoland area, I would say that our market is more conducive to cichlids, especially African cichlids, because the water around here in Chicago and the surrounding suburbs tends to be on the harder side. It comes from Lake Michigan. Where, let's say you were in the upper Northwest, a lot of the water there is on the softer side. And so in order for people to keep African cichlids, they'd have to do something to the water, and most people don't want to do that. And if they don't do that, they wind up having problems. And so if I were in the upper Northwest, I would probably not have nearly as many African cichlids. I would probably shift to more South and Central American cichlids, and I would especially love things like apistos and German blue rams and some of these fish that I have a really hard time keeping in our Chicago waters. So to a certain extent, to answer your question, yes, you want to be aware of what sells in your area, because there is no point in me, if I were living in the upper Northwest, to be at this big time African cichlid breeder and then realize, well, if I want to sell my fish, I have to ship most of them, because the local pet stores are like, dude, what are we going to do with all these Mbuna that you've been breeding in peacocks when our water is not really conducive to their growth? In terms of do expensive fish sell well? No, they don't. Not unless if you're going to ship them, that you have a bigger audience. But if you are in a local area, and so let's say, okay, so for instance, let's say I were breeding Maltese, right, shell dwellers. At this point now in the Chicagoland area, that market is becoming more saturated. So if I have Maltese, okay, maybe I can get $5-6 a piece for them. Maybe I go out and I breed this really expensive featherfin Lake Tanganyika fish. And retail, if you were to go to the store, these things are like $80 a piece. Maybe even in your less expensive fish stores, maybe they're $50 a piece. The likelihood that I'm going to be able to sell those for even $30 or $40 a piece is probably not as high as if I were to spend time breeding fish that are more common. So usually expensive fish are those that are less common, and often they're less common for a reason, and you're going to probably have a more narrow market Now, if this is a brand new fish that many people aren't breeding, but it's going to be wildly popular because it's easy to keep and it's more of a community setting, that's a different story. All right, so for instance, if one were breeding albino hecali and breeding them relatively regularly and getting healthy offspring, those fish are a little bit more neutral. Yes, they get a little larger. Right now, they're a little bit more expensive. Could that be a good endeavor? Maybe. Again, it depends on your area. So a lot of it depends on your niche. All right, let's do one more, and then we're going to call it a day. 84 months. Jason, are you going to the Greenwater swap this upcoming Sunday? Are you bringing any Caudal punctatus? No and no. So we're not doing Greenwater this week because we're going to do the GCC the following week, and my Caudal punctatus still are not breeding yet again after our whole broken down fish filter thing. So I'm still waiting for them. They're starting to show the stripes, kind of like the dominant stripes again. The last week or so, I've noticed that we've got some fish hanging out near the rocks more, and they're when Caudal punctatus breed and when they're really trying to keep other fish away from their sites that they think are important, they'll get these dark vertical bands, and then they'll kind of tilt down with their head down and kind of swim like this. They're doing that more, so I am hopeful we'll start seeing some little ones in the next couple weeks. Maybe. Who knows? All right, everybody. I think we're going to call it an evening. We're going to call it a fine evening. Thank you so much to everyone who was here. All the super chats and stickers and our moderators, Oinkmaster and Killer Kitty and Dan and Wendy and I don't remember who else. Dave. Who did I say? Dan?
Dan.
It's
Dan.
This stuff, this bubbly stuff is horrible. Dave from Iowa. We know that. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who participated in the giveaway. We'll be doing more. Don't worry. We will be doing more. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We will be back next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, bring questions because this is what we like to do. We like to answer all the questions. So thank you so much. We will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.